Well, there's certainly it's overbroad, and the expert told me he
Hold
wouldn't
on,
be.
Dylan, let me talk. Your Honor.
Good morning. This is the time set for case D 21635-772D. Most people by Zoom, and we have Mr. Ross here. And can we have counsel make your appearances? Let's start with Mr. Standish. All right, we're back on the record. Do we have you there, Mr. Standish?
I think we're on video too, but yes, I'm on my phone, Your Honor. Sorry.
All right. So we're having audio. All right. Would you like to make your appearance, please?
Thank you. Tom Standish appearing for Dylan Houston. I assume Dylan is also present by video. My bar number is 1424.
I see Mr. Houston logged in. Oh, there, I see you on video now too. All right, Ms. Dwiggins.
All right.
Good morning, Your Honor. Dana Dwiggins on behalf of the Pages.
Ross Evans, bar number 11374 on behalf of the Pages.
All right. Does anybody know if Mr. Jones is going to participate? Should I call him and invite him to come?
I don't believe he intends on participating. In
Okay.
fact, I know he does not.
All right, because we have to clean that up as far as if his client is going to withdraw her request for participation or
We
she's
we
gonna-
were supposed to have a conference call last week, but it got rescheduled. It's possible he might be withdrawing from the matter.
Okay.
So they went to.
All right, so I'll start with the easy stuff. We do have both the drug test results from April. Did everyone see those?
I did
Yes,
send
Your
this to
Honor.
Mr. Standish.
Okay. And then we have the ones for October 1st. So both of those are negative, both in hair and urine. Do we have proof that Dad has the scram bracelet on now?
I assume that was going straight to the court, but yes, he's been on since the 4th and continuously.
Okay. And has he signed authorization for everyone else to have notification of any violations?
We have not seen anything, Your Honor, and we were not even aware that it in fact had been put on by him or obtained.
Okay. Because
My understanding was the scram people were given everybody's information, Your Honor, and they should have hooked up everybody. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe Dylan knows more.
The scram referral had 4 attorney email addresses for violations, but I've had it on since approximately 1:30 p.m. on the 4th.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of what I wanted done. Have the parties discussed or and come to any agreement regarding modifications of Dad's custodial time?
There
No,
have
Your Honor.
discussions, Your Honor.
All right. This is my thoughts on it. As long as it's got the scram on and that stays on, that covers that. Oh, we did get, hold on. I just got an email. Yes, we got October 4th email from them that he was enrolled in the program. Continuous monitoring bracelet. So that we do have proof of that. I'll go ahead and have that filed with the court so everybody has that. So that takes care of that. And what I'm thinking is that it'd be a rotating schedule. Week 1, Dad would have Friday, it could be 5 or 6 p.m. You guys can tell me what works best with the grandparents delivering. And then they can also quickly see that he still has the scram bracelet on. And then he would have them till Monday at 5 or 6 p.m. My goal is to be the same time. And the grandparents pick up, that would be week 1. Then week 2, Dad would pick up on Sunday at 9 a.m. and keep them until Tuesday, 9 a.m. with Dad delivering to school and to the grandparents on Tuesday morning. And that, as long as I said, I'll keep my promise. As long as he has this scram bracelet on, so we all can have that constant monitoring, he can do the driving. when he needs to, but that's why I wanted to start with the grandparents doing the transportation on week 1. And that this expands his time, but also gives the grandparents Saturdays to every other Saturday to spend with them and have fun with them. And anybody have any thoughts?
Just, Your Honor, that we were hoping that the court would see fit to at least divide the time 50-50 rather than restricting him from that. He has a flexible work schedule, so he can do any days of the week and it won't interfere with his work. Or if it does, he'll make do with his office. So that was the only thing. If he has the scram on, they would notify if there was any positive, as Dylan just said. So that's 100% protection. And I have no problem with the grandparents on pickup or delivery or whatever being able to have him show that he has it on. I think that's certainly fine.
Right. I don't think we're at that point. I guess I want to start out and give him enough opportunity to prove himself. He's going to do that, but I don't think I'm ready to go on that. And we have, when are we coming back? We're coming back on December 19th. So gives us through there. And then we can also talk about, I don't know if anybody's talked about holidays, because our trial doesn't start until after Christmas. So we can talk about that. But I think this gives him more time, gives him the overnights, gives them the right to drive them places so that he has a full 3-day weekend every other weekend, and then all day Sunday and Monday on the other weekends. I think that's appropriate there. I don't know if you guys have talked about anything for Thanksgiving. I don't know if the prior order from Judge Henderson talks about what to do about holidays, since I don't
I
think.
have some comments on that, considering we alternated Thanksgivings and last year was not mine. I think I should have Thanksgiving this year. And then I was also requesting, I have a Disneyland trip planned for the kids. So December 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Unless the court doesn't want them to go to Disneyland with my family, then I should have all those dates as well. And then I'm also, flexible on how they want to split up Christmas, I guess, this year, considering the trial is after that.
I could obviously speak to my clients, but obviously, assuming everything goes smoothly, I don't think we have any type of objection to that,
Okay.
as well as working with him on some type of Christmas share.
Then I'll speak to you about that, Dana. But also, Your Honor, we were going to see if he could have the children for some time on Halloween just to do some trick-or-treating for a few hours. He actually has to go out that night to Reno to be there on the 1st for a construction defect inspection. But the few hours on the 31st would be great if we could do that too. And yes, we can deal with Christmas, I'm sure, to determine the Christmas break, the winter break, and how we would divide that up.
Okay. So in order to make it flow, what I'm thinking is all right. So we're going to call this weekend, week 2, so that he would pick up on Sunday, the 20th at 9 a.m. And then he's going to get to and from school on the 21st. And then to school, drop off to the grandparents on Tuesday, the 22nd.
Goes to preschool, so I assume he would just be dropped off at school.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know if you guys had worked that out. He's just not going on Mondays because he's with Dad.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right, so drop him off at preschool. That's wonderful. And then this weekend, the weekend of the 25th, school should be closed on Friday. Are they? I know they're going to private school / preschool. Are they closed on Friday the 25th for Nevada Day? Does anybody know?
I don't have that information because I've been locked out of the school parenting app by the pages.
Your Honor, I have had this conversation with Mr. Standish multiple times. All he has to do is call the school. My clients have not blocked any access at all.
Well, the school has the court order. They didn't block it, but the order blocked it. So if we need another order, Dylan, if you'll check on that again.
Okay,
the
well,
school's
Mr.
been
Standish,
very,
you're gonna prepare the order from today and you can put that in there too. So that'll give, this is gonna be what I'm calling week 2. And
Your Honor,
then,
I just kind of doing the math. I think that ends up on, unless I'm wrong, week 1 on the 8th.
right. That's what I wanted, is to be week 1 on the 8th so that he can pick up on Thursday. What time you're going with your family to Disneyland?
Yeah, I would just be driving down there on Sunday, December 8th, staying Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and returning Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's December, not November, correct?
Oh, okay.
December.
Okay, never mind. Then I've got that messed up in my head. Sorry. So we can do this weekend as week 1 then. So the grandparents can deliver on Friday, the 18th. And then grandparents will pick up, I guess really it'll be from dad on Monday at 5 p.m. You're gonna be home at Friday at 5 p.m., sir?
Yes.
Okay. So they'll deliver both of them to you, and then you'll take to school on Monday. And the grandparents can pick her up from school on Monday and then come pick up from you.
Understood.
Okay, and that'll be week 1. Then week 2 would be you get the 27th. Sunday morning, you'll pick up from the grandparents on October 27th and keep them till the 29th. And then on the 31st, what time would you like to have them for trick or treating?
I would suggest that I just be able to pick them up from school in the afternoon. And then I can have them back by, I don't know, 8, something like that.
8 p.m. because you're gonna fly out that night.
Yeah, I haven't
Reno.
put my travel arrangements yet, but I need to, I just wanted to see kind of what the schedule was going to be before I did that. But I have a
Okay.
site inspection the next day in Reno. I did assume I can get a flight out that night after that.
Okay. Or first thing in the morning. And they fly us like 6 o'clock in the morning on Southwest. I've been on those before
Yep,
to get
yep.
to Reno. So then that'll be, and you're going to be back
Just the night.
or,
I'll be back the night of the 1st.
okay. So it's just a day trip up there. All right. So then you've got to let the grandparents know on the 1st what time you want them to drop off, because that'll be a week 1. So they'll be dropping off to you. But if
So,
you
I mean, on Fridays, why don't I just pick them up from school? I don't know. I think that minimizes the exchange problem as well that we seem to have had in this case.
that's fine, but you're probably not going to be home on Monday the 1st by then. Because you're going to be in Reno that day. That's,
The 1st is a Friday.
yeah,
So,
that's a Friday.
and then, but I mean, I could have my family pick them up from school like they would have if I, had work in our previous 50-50 sharing of the kids.
All right, I'm gonna stick with my plan. You just need to let them know if you need it later than 5 p.m. on the 1st and deliver to you. So if you're coming in later, that's fine. You can either have them dropped off up to 8 p.m. or they can drop off Saturday morning if you're gonna be in late on Friday night because you haven't made your travel arrangements yet. And then for Thanksgiving, let's see, I'm trying to figure out, remember which one is Thanksgiving. Come over here. Which weekend is Thanksgiving? Is it the
early one.
28th? Okay. So trying to figure out, that's the first weekend. First, okay. So that weekend would be a first week anyway. So, but we push it back so dad can have the Thanksgiving. Push it back to the 27th of November would be treated as same as Friday, with the grandparents delivering to dad on Wednesday, the 27th. And then his time will be extended so that he has that whole Thanksgiving weekend, can do whatever the family traditions are for then. And then that puts us to Christmas. That's the other thing to talk about. Christmas is on a Wednesday. So I think I want you guys to talk about it. I mean, different families have different traditions. A lot of people do, certain people do things on Christmas Eve is the most important part, certain Christmas Day. Talk about that. I want Dad to have time either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So that you guys got to figure that out, Mr. Standish.
Well, actually, Your Honor, I was going to try to work out something where they could either divide the days or have some sort of proportionate share of the vacation, since the children will be out of school for those 3+ weeks.
I don't know if they'll be out full 3 weeks, but
Well, you know, the regular schedule.
right.
I don't know when recess this year, but
So, okay, so tell me again about Dad, your plans to go to Disneyland with your family is on December 8th?
Yeah, leaving
Yes.
Las Vegas December 8th and returning Wednesday the 18th. Just driving.
I'm sorry, I thought you said the 11th.
Oh,
8th to the 11th.
Sorry.
Okay.
8th to the-
Okay. I didn't know if you're going to do a week and a half at Disneyland. I don't know. That could,
The 9th at Disneyland, the 10th at California Adventures, and then return Wednesday the 11th.
okay, so I'll make it clear. You could definitely do that. I didn't count what that was. So that's a first weekend. That's going to be a second weekend anyway. So you would pick up on Sunday morning anyway. So if you need to do it a little earlier because you guys are gonna leave and carpool. Because who else is going in your family? Your siblings, mom, who else?
Yeah, a large group of probably 15 or 20 people that we do annually. So I'll be just driving me and the kids, so I can work around getting them at 9 and just driving at some point during that day.
Okay, because I don't know how many nieces and nephews you have. I assume
lot.
you have some, and your kids are close with their cousins, and
Yeah, there will
they're gonna
be,
drive all the adults crazy having fun at Disneyland and California Adventure, right?
yeah, at least I don't know,
So-
7 or 8 total cousins, maybe
All
more.
right, so they're gonna miss some school on that time, but kindergarten and preschool. So I think that them having that family trip is not a bad thing as long as Mr. Houston is still complying with my order and hasn't had any problems with the scram.
Yeah, and then I talked to the Scram people about that already, and they said it's like you can't be out of town more than 3 or 4 days, but I just have to double check that with them. I might have to bring like the monitoring device or just let them know and come get a download as soon as I get back. I'll work that out with them.
Okay, so you're having the kids and going out of town or driving with them is conditioned on you wearing it and not
Yeah.
having violations.
I understand that.
Okay. And then I'm gonna let you guys talk about the Christmas break because we have calendar call on the 19th. So if you guys don't have Christmas and Christmas break worked out by then, I can make an order then.
I'm sure we'll be able to work something out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty clear that should be able to have special times and holidays with both sides of their families and how you guys split that up and work it out. You guys can do that, but it should be they get to celebrate holidays with both sides. This would be my goal.
yep, we will work that out, Your Honor.
All right, so then that takes care of everything until December 19th. And then we have one more hearing on the 28th. Ms. Fine's motion for reconsideration. I didn't see anybody opposing that. Ms. Dwiggins, were you going to oppose that on behalf of?
I didn't intend, Your Honor, to the extent she has an award of attorney's fees, in light of the amount, it would just be a creditor's claim against her estate. I think we're gonna spend more money fighting it and end up possibly in the same situations, especially since I don't have any knowledge of what occurred, and to get up to speed, I think it's easier just to have them file a creditor's claim.
Okay, so maybe you reach out to Ms. Fine then and do some kind of stipulation? Because your clients also are the personal representatives or at least
Correct.
special administrators?
Correct.
Okay. So that may be that they can, if you can work that out, that'll save some time and money for everybody and having to come and fight that again in front of me.
I could do that, Your Honor.
If not, I will hear that and we'll, on the
And I
28th,
think
we'll go
Mr.
from there.
Evans has one more issue.
Okay.
Yes, we've asked for reimbursement of tuition expenses for, under the divorce decree. Mr. Houston is, required to pay 2/3 of the tuition. He hasn't paid any this year.
That's actually 50%, I think, under the
Well,
more
it's-
current order.
It's 2/3 for the tuition and half of medical expenses.
Okay. I don't have even an understanding. I haven't read that order. I haven't read any orders regarding the financial issues. So I'm not prepared to deal with that today. But let's say I can deal with it on December 19th if you guys haven't resolved that. Whatever the order is on dad's sharing of those expenses, that hasn't changed. And I don't think, I know Judge Henderson did not address on the April 13th anything regarding any child support obligation or anything, but he didn't also change any orders regarding dad's share of those expenses for their children.
Right, and at any rate, some amount is due, it just hasn't been paid. And then we'd ask for a share of half of the medical expenses for the therapy that the children are receiving, specifically as it falls under a medical expense.
Okay, Mr. Standish, you even discussed this?
I'll address that, Your Honor. I think there's an updated order that had a different sharing. I'll address that with counsel right away.
Whatever his obligations are that have been in place would be my goal to enforce that right now. I don't have an updated financial disclosure form for this from dad dealing with to address anything else, but the orders that are in place should be complied with.
And then real quick, we learned last week that Dylan was objecting to signing our experts' consent to do the psychological interviews and evaluations.
Well, there's certainly it's overbroad, and the expert told me he
Hold on,
wouldn't
Dylan, let me talk.
be-
Your Honor, it's Stephanie Holland that they have retained as their expert.
Okay,
I don't know about the order or not, but from her attorney, who wrote back to Dylan, he said the evaluation was ordered by the court. Dr. Holland is a neutral third-party evaluator. There's another part of her thing that says that she isn't an expert, and she's proceeding, it appears, with getting releases so she can talk to, the 5 or 6 persons that you're supposed to. I mean, she's basically, if it's not called a child custody evaluation, it is. She's proceeding in that manner. She asked for a complete release to be able to order Dylan to do random testing of drug and alcohol. And so I have 2 concerns. First of all, that is not a Rule 35 examination. I know Rule 35 talks about psychological examinations or evaluations, but that's not what this is, because if you look at Rule 35, and I'll file an emergency motion on this if Your Honor wants, but Rule 35 by its nature contemplates like an examination. You can record the examination upon request. You can have a witness there, not on a psychological or neurological, but you can have an observer present. I mean, it doesn't fit with what Dr. Holland is doing. That's number one. Number two is, I don't know how the breadth of that approach is going to allow her to do a report by the November 1 deadline, but I can assure you, Your Honor, that after that, I have 26 or 27 days to get my expert. There is no expert that I can hire in the United States to do a rebuttal, because they'll have to do the whole evaluation themselves all over again. I can't, it's going to deprive my client of his right to have a rebuttal expert witness, because nobody can do it in that short amount of time, assuming Dr. Holland can get her report out in the next couple of weeks. So I don't know whether you want counsel to go and confer on that, but I think we need to, I'm sorry to have to bring this before you, but I just think that it's not what the court ordered. And maybe
the problem
Dr.
too
Holland,
is they're objecting without bringing this to our attention. And then days and days go by when we could have dealt with this head on.
Well,
So we
more
would like
importantly,
to have it
Your Honor,
addressed.
more importantly, Your Honor, they didn't tell this expert about the court's expert deadline. I told the expert, I sent him the court order, and he told me they needed 60 days to complete it as of last week. I mean, there's no way they could meet that November 1 deadline, regardless of if I signed the forms.
Your Honor, that is not true. I spoke to Dr. Holland directly and made her aware of the deadline when I first spoke to her.
Well, it's in the email correspondence that I have. I'd be happy to submit to the court.
Okay. What I ordered is Dr. Holland is not being a neutral in this case because she's going to be the intervener's expert witness. So the consents and authorizations should be appropriate to that. And she's conducting a psychological evaluation, basic of dad's mental health. So that wouldn't, I don't know if that would necessarily include collaterals. I guess I could argue that either way if I were arguing it. But the consent should be appropriate to her role, as she's not a neutral. She is their retained expert.
And Your Honor, this was news to us when we heard back from Dr. Holland's office. We did explain to her the scope, and obviously a lot of time has gone by and we yet to have an appointment scheduled. So I think it impairs both Mr. Standish and I, and we might have to be a little flexible with these dates to not interfere with the trial date.
The consent form wasn't
But it
sent to me
would've
until last week,
well,
so there was
if
certainly
we
no
had-
delay on my part.
Well, it would have been helpful if we'd had the Rule 35 order that you said should be filed, as I understand the order by counsel, that would have set out the parameters and the time and the date and everything to work with the date. So maybe we can work on it that way. I mean, I understand what the court was granting, but it wasn't at all what her attorney said. And frankly, this all came at a time when I was not able to deal with it directly, and I didn't know if I should even engage with the attorney because it was the attorney for Dr. Holland, and I didn't know who I should talk to. So I guess counsel will have to talk about it, Your Honor. But if she understands the deadline, then I suppose then she'll try to get it done. But it's the nature of the evaluation itself, Your Honor, that if you look at Rule 35, I don't think it fits, like collateral witnesses and so forth. How would you do an audio recording of that examination? And how would you have an observer present if it wasn't psychological? I mean, how would you do that if there were collaterals all over the place? So it just makes it really hard for me to find an expert to do that. Nobody in Las Vegas is going to be available. Dr. Pliny is sort of conflicted because he has Sunshine Collins, doesn't practice with her, but she's in his office. And I have to go out of state, and those people are hard to get, and they're expensive, and they're hard to get into the schedule. So just saying it's going to be difficult, and we all, I hope, know that the one big thing we want is never to have another continuance of this trial date.
Well, Your Honor, we were just notified literally 1 minute ago that Dr. Holland is now declining the referral due to the deadline.
Guess that supports my position. She didn't know about it.
Well,
Okay.
that I could tell you what I personally spoke to her about on the phone shortly after our hearing date last month. May I
I'm not
suggest,
dead-
just because of, in light of us just learning this and Mr. Standish, perhaps the court just appoint a neutral? I mean, that's the role Sunshine Collins was supposed to serve in.
Well, yeah,
we
but
don't
that,
have time. How would I get an expert to even? I'm entitled to have an independent expert myself, even if there was a neutral appointed. But that we don't have time for a child custody evaluation. Your Honor made findings and ruled that you had enough concern under the record that you were granting them the right to have an expert to do an examination. But I think that Dr. Holland was probably trying to do the shoehorn into that order, which he normally does on a full child custody evaluation, just sort of streamlining it. Because you said a focused assessment, Your Honor, or similar thing in on the record, that's what you said. To me, that means very streamlined because of the tight timeframes. And by
Right,
the
and
way,
that
I don't have any issue with Ms. Dwiggins saying that she told Dr. Holland. I think what happened was perhaps Dr. Holland realized that if she couldn't do it in her normal way, maybe that's the reason she's doing it, not just that she's declining because of the date. But in any event.
I mean,
Right,
also,
it's akin to a brief focus assessment where we're dealing with only, because this is not a custody fight between two parents. So we're dealing with a focused assessment of dad's mental health. And that's,
I agree, Your Honor, and that's what was explained to her by my office.
and that's why I did not myself open, we got the link from Dr. Collins with that. So I hope there was the psychometric test, the raw data
Yes.
that you could use at that. So we did resolve that issue, but you have to have an expert to do that. And I'm not in a position to appoint someone, and I don't like to do that. That's not my role as a judge to pick you guys as experts. And reasonable attorneys who've done this can disagree about who's qualified and who's not. So that's why I prefer counsel to be free to pick their own, or stipulate to someone to do it. But I don't know who's available to do that, because obviously Dr. Collins can't serve that role. Now Dr. Holland's rejecting that. You guys both may need an out-of-state psychologist to address that. If you're going to use a psychologist, you could also use a psychiatrist to do that. But if you use a psychiatrist, they can't, he or she could not interpret the raw data you guys have or any new raw data from that testing. So I'm not in a position to appoint a neutral in this case. And I don't know what you guys are gonna have to do to get that, because you already your deadline to designate the expert was the 30th. So I assume you designated Dr. Holland by that deadline. And
Yes, Your Honor.
and that's why you got to where Dr. Holland was giving him authorizations and going from there. So I need you guys to work out how you're going to do this with your experts. You got to have somebody who's going to testify to what even the raw data, if he doesn't do new testing, new psychometric testing, what does the raw data mean that we have? And then he has the right to say it's outdated. But I can't fix you guys's need for discovery on this issue.
We could work
All right.
during
Well,
Mr. Standish.
yeah, Dana and I'll have to talk, Your Honor.
Yeah, if you guys can
Well, I'm
agree on one psychologist to look at the issue, and I'm happy to sign a stipulation and say we're going to use Dr. X to do a PhD to do a review and any further testing that need to be done and submit a report to the court. And we can all have the same information regarding Mr. Houston's mental health and where it stands. And that's part of what Dr. Sunshine Collins would have done had she finished her work. But it was only a component of that when it's a custody battle between mom and dad. So I can rule today on the dad's custodial time and make that. I can order you guys to cooperate on that and try to get this done. Anything else I can help you with?
I'll prepare with the order for today, and the rest, Dana, just call me or I'll call you and we'll get a time to talk right away.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, get that done, because nobody wants to, least of all me, wants to continue this trial out.
Agreed, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank